The twin suns of Kavaris Prime cast long shadows across the Crimson Valley as Thalrak surveyed his domain. The Vrexian war chief stood nearly 9 feet tall, his obsidian carapace gleaming in the fading light. Below him, in the settlement carved from ancient stone, his offspring played among the ruins, 12 young cubs learning the ways of the hunt, unaware that war had followed them home. Thalrak had led his pack across 17 worlds, crushing resistance with brutal efficiency. Humans were supposed to be weak, scattered prey, easy conquests, but 3 months ago his raiding party had attacked a human colony on the frontier. They had taken supplies, weapons, and left nothing but ash. It was meant to be a message. He did not know that humans had a different kind of message to send. 3 kilometers away, concealed among the ridge's jagged rocks, Sergeant Cole Reiner pressed his eye against the scope of his rifle. The wind whispered through the canyon, carrying the scent of alien vegetation and the distant sounds of Vrexian younglings at play. Through his magnified lens, he watched Thalrak's cubs tumble and wrestle, their claws scraping against stone. Target acquired, Reiner whispered into his comm. Alpha is on the northern platform. Cubs in the courtyard below. Copy that, Sergeant, came the reply from command. You have authorization. Rules of engagement, Alpha only. The cubs are off limits. Reiner had expected nothing less. Humanity had learned hard lessons throughout its bloody history. They didn't wage war on children, no matter the species. But Thalrak, the architect of 17 massacres, the butcher who had personally executed fleeing civilians, he was fair game. Understood, Reiner confirmed, waiting for clean shot. Beside him, concealed in identical positions along the ridge, were 7 other human marksmen, each one a ghost invisible to Vrexian sensors. They had tracked Thalrak for 6 weeks across hostile territory, following him back to what he thought was sanctuary. The war chief believed himself untouchable here, surrounded by his clan, protected by their remote location. He was wrong. Thalrak watched his cubs with something approaching pride. The youngest, barely a season old, had just brought down a native creature twice her size. She dragged it across the courtyard, tail held high in triumph. The older cubs chittered their approval. In Vrexian culture, strength was everything. These younglings would grow to be mighty warriors, continuing his legacy of conquest. The war chief turned his gaze toward the horizon, toward the distant stars where more human worlds waited. Soft species, he thought. They build instead of take. They negotiate instead of dominate. Weakness. Through his scope, Reiner saw Thalrak's mandibles spread in what might have been a smile. The crosshairs settled on the war chief's thorax, right where intelligence had marked the primary cardiovascular node. 1 shot. That's all it would take. But Thalrak moved, stepping back from the platform's edge as one of his cubs called out to him. The shot window closed. Negative, Reiner breathed. Target moved, resetting. Patience was the sniper's greatest weapon. Reiner had waited 3 days in frozen mud on Theta Station. He'd held position for 37 hours in the toxic rain of Meridian 66. He could wait now. The suns continued their descent, painting the valley in shades of orange and purple. Thalrak's cubs began to tire, their play becoming less frantic. The war chief descended from his platform, moving among his offspring with what might have been tenderness in another species. He touched each one, a gesture of acknowledgement of connection. Reiner watched, his face expressionless. He thought of the human children on Frontier Station 7 who would never grow up, never play again because of this creature. He thought of the families shattered, the futures stolen. His finger rested lightly on the trigger guard, discipline holding him steady. Thalrak gathered his cubs, herding them toward the settlement's interior as the night approached. Vrexian eyes were adapted for low light, but even they preferred shelter after dark. The war chief stood at the entrance, watching his offspring file inside one by one. His guard was down, his attention on his family. Shot window opening, Reiner reported. Angle is clear. Cubs are inside. Repeat, cubs are clear of the zone. You are authorized, Sergeant, command replied. Send the message. Thalrak turned back toward the valley one final time, surveying his domain with satisfaction. Tomorrow he would plan the next raid. Tomorrow he would... The bullet traveled at 2,800 feet per second, covering 3 kilometers in just over 3 seconds. By the time the sound reached Thalrak's position, the war chief was already falling, a perfect hole through his primary cardiovascular node. He collapsed onto the stone platform, his mandibles opening in silent shock. The other Vrexians erupted from cover, weapons raised, searching for an enemy they couldn't see. But the human marksmen were already withdrawing, moving through prepared routes with practiced efficiency. They would be gone before the Vrexians even understood the direction of the attack. Confirmed kill, Reiner reported, already breaking down his position. Alpha is down. Extracting now. As he moved through the rocks, Reiner heard the sounds of Vrexian cubs calling out. Confused by the sudden chaos, he felt no satisfaction in their fear, no joy in their confusion. This wasn't about revenge, it was about justice. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity's compassion had limits, and crossing those limits came with consequences. The message was simple. Attack our children, and we will find you. Not tomorrow, not next week, but we will find you. We will watch. We will wait. And when the moment comes, no distance will save you, no fortress will protect you. Humanity didn't wage war on cubs, but alphas who preyed on the innocent? They had painted targets on their backs. As Sergeant Cole Reiner disappeared into the Kavarian night, Thalrak's legacy died with him on that stone platform. The war chief had thought humans were weak, prey species too soft for true war. He had learned in his final moment what every predator eventually discovers. Sometimes the prey learns to hunt back, and humans, when pushed, were the most patient hunters of all.